What is popping, y'all? It is your man, Club Boy Bales, and welcome to another episode of Wisco Sports Weekly Wednesday predictions. We're already to week 15. Fantasy football playoffs pretty much start for a big percentage of people this week. Pretty much the final 4 weeks, we are already into the month of December. We're already approaching Christmas. It's getting close. But this is obviously where things really are going to come into play. And honestly, it's starting to look pretty clear. A lot of teams can start clinching playoffs. A lot of teams already have clinched playoff spots. Or even possibly the division already. Kansas City already has clinched their division. It's just a lot crazy to just think about what's going on. But regardless, if you like what you see, comment below, subscribe with your thoughts. All right, and let's get down to business. Thursday night football matchup, we have part 2 of the Los Angeles Rams versus the San Francisco 49ers. Two teams that Los Angeles is 7-6, San Francisco is 6-7. Two teams that pretty much are very even. They're still kind of not far away from the division because it's only a 1-game lead for the Seattle Seahawks with the Rams. But it's going to be a very close race between that division. That division's really close, and this is a battle. If San Francisco does win, that does cancel each other out, and it makes it a little bit difficult for each of the teams to make it because this definitely could pivot a lot going into it. It's going to be very hard because a lot of teams are really trying to get themselves into it, and it looks like it's starting to come to play for the NFC, but we don't know that yet. 4 weeks determine a lot. Between the two, if I had to pick, I think Los Angeles won the first time, but both times these two teams faced off the first time, it wasn't really a solidified matchup because half the teams were missing both their people. So realistically, that game didn't really mean as much. If I had to pick, I feel like San Francisco getting a solid win against the Bears. I think they're really putting themselves in a good spot right now. I'm going to go with the 49ers. Because I just don't see the Rams having a back-to-back performance, especially how they played last week. All right, going on to Sunday, we have the Kansas City Chiefs at the Cleveland Browns. Kansas City has just been getting the luckiest of wins, making everything so dramatic, and who knows how things are. I guess I'll just have to pick the Chiefs because honestly, at this point, who wouldn't? Next up, the Cincinnati Bengals at the Tennessee Titans. I'm going with the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati just is one of those teams that's like, hey, they're there, but a lot of people are forgetting about them, but they're not quite out of it. Another loss, I think, would definitely be like, okay, yeah, they're done. But Cincinnati needs wins in order to really put themselves because they're very far away from getting in. And it's just Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are having unbelievable seasons, and it's just so sad to see them like going off and their team just being where they are. Gotta go with Cincinnati. Washington Commanders, New Orleans Saints. Derek Carr probably is out for the rest of the season. It's for the best. New Orleans is probably going nowhere. Washington is likely going to make the playoffs. Hopefully they don't choke it away, but Jaden Daniels right now I'd say is maybe favored to win Rookie of the Year. It's going to be a close one between him, Nix, and Bowers, but Washington really is putting on it for being a team that really was bad the last couple of years. Washington, if they get in the postseason, that'd be great. I'm going to go with Washington beating the Saints. Next up, Baltimore Ravens at the New York Giants. This should be an easy win for Baltimore, especially after losing 2 back-to-back games in bad fashion. I'm going to go with the Ravens. Next up, Dallas Cowboys at Carolina Panthers. Give me Carolina. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Carolina actually, the last 2 weeks, they've been playing good enough where they really should have won both those games, but they didn't. And I feel like Dallas is not as good of a team as Tampa Bay and Eagles, and I feel like Carolina, with the momentum that they've been playing as of recently, I feel like I'm going to go with the Panthers. Next up, we have a Tank Bowl. We got the New York Jets versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm going with the Jets. This game obviously means nothing, so I go with the Jets here. Next up, Miami Dolphins at the Houston Texans. Miami is one of those teams that I think could be a bubble team that could just get in the nick of it. Obviously, they've had a tough go-around. I feel like if they were healthy at the start, if Tua wasn't concussed and they had a healthy season, they for sure would actually be contending for the division at the moment. But because obviously they had to miss that time. But Miami's trying to get right back into the thick of it. But we'll see. But unfortunately, I'm actually going to go with Houston on this one. They need a big win to really. They need a win right now to get themselves in position to be like, hey, we can do this. Like we're no one's giving Houston any credit right now. They're just saying, oh, their division's bad. They're barely beating their division. Is not having a good thing. But I feel like a good win for Houston right here would definitely help. Next up, Indianapolis Colts at Denver Broncos. Denver's just having it with an easy schedule this year. But what a season that Denver's having. No one's talking about them right now. I'm going to go with the Broncos here to beat the Colts. They for sure should win there. Next up, the Buffalo Bills at Detroit Lions. This is the first team that actually has a shot, I think, that could beat Detroit. Josh Allen, I think right now has cemented himself as the favorite for MVP. But this should be a great game. But if I had to pick, I still think Detroit they just do not care. Detroit is just going to keep going for the whole thing. So I'm going to go with the Lions. Next up, Pittsburgh. If the Lions win, I think Green Bay will not have a shot at the division, but it's mostly looking like that. Next up, the Battle of Pennsylvania, the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Philadelphia Eagles. I guess this one could be a really interesting game. I could definitely see. I feel like I gotta favor Philly because I think everyone knows they're the better team. But Pittsburgh is not to be messed with either. So I guess I'll go with the Eagles, but it'll be a close one. Next up, New England Patriots at Arizona Cardinals. You know what? I mean, as much as I want to say Arizona should win these games, I just feel like they're going to lose. But I feel like it's just going to be canceling. I'll just say Arizona. New England certainly can put up a fight there, but yeah, I'll go with the Cardinals. Next up, Tampa Bay Buccaneers at Los Angeles Chargers. This should be a good game, but I'm going to go with the Chargers. It's just hard not to. Chargers got a great defense, and there's a reason why they have a great record. They know how to battle with teams. I'm going with the Chargers. And then Sunday Night Football, we have the Green Bay Packers taking on the Seattle Seahawks. This is an interesting game. Possibly could be a playoff matchup if things kind of go the same way. We might see this game match up in about 4 weeks, but it's possible. We don't know that yet. But between the two, I feel like this is going to be a close battle. Hopefully, the injuries, for Green Bay are obviously stacking up. Seattle, same thing. But between the two, if I had to pick a game, this is going to be a really tough one. I originally said Seattle. All right, you know what? I feel like after last week, I feel like a lot of people, Green Bay is going to be like, okay, you know what? We're capable of being a front runner. I feel like this could go either way. This could be a loss as well, but I am going to go with the Packers on this one. And then going on to Monday, we have two games on Monday Night Football. One is the Chicago Bears at the Minnesota Vikings. Between the two, I mean, after seeing how Chicago looked last week, I don't really feel like I can go against Minnesota because they're really starting to look good. So I'm going to go with the Vikings here. And then Falcons at Raiders. It would be the funniest thing ever to see Desmond Ridder win against Atlanta. But yeah, I'm going to go with the Falcons. They need a win to get themselves back in the playoff race. And Kirk Cousins is not doing so good. They need a win, and this is a game right here against Las Vegas would be the game to do it. So if you like what you see, subscribe below, comment with your thoughts, and as always, we will see you next time.